That's better. Not too close to the light. Um, yeah, I might move back a little bit. All right.
After quitting the podcast, let's throw a penalty flag on the hospital monopolies and their abusive price increases. Four
Bowie
times the
whistle.
rate of inflation. That's 15
Bowie
yards for
whistle.
price gouging. 500% markups on.
The backlash against the Odyssey continues to get worse, at least on social media, from the critics who have seen the movie so far. You can't exactly say the same thing. In fact, the critics are telling you that this is Christopher Nolan's best work ever. That despite the race swaps, the modern language, that they love it. They love that the Odyssey is a subversive modern work of an ancient epic.
Hey, what's up, Howard?
All about it. And certainly, over the course of history, both critics and general audiences have usually had good things to say about Christopher Nolan movies. But this one, it definitely feels like there might end up being a split when it comes out. Because
just chilling.
there are
Got
a
the
lot of red flags.
got the AC finally
and it is
working.
so high profile. It is getting more backlash than anything we've seen, at least in the past several months. You might have to go back.
That's
to
the
last
ugliest
year
Helen of Troy I've
with
ever
Snow
seen.
White to see something that had this level of backlash, because as we
Like
speak,
that trailer
the
did not
Odyssey
do
trailer
her any
is
favors.
currently sitting at 656,000 dislikes. Remember, back for Snow White's trailer, that got like 1.8 million dislikes.
Doing good, too damn high for me.
Got over a million.
You preaching to
Over
the
a
choir,
million
man.
dislikes for Snow White.
Is way too
Odyssey's
freaking
not at
hot.
that level
And our AC
yet,
wasn't working
but
properly,
movie
so I've
does
just
look a
been like
bigger mud
simmering
as
in
we
my
still
own
have
juices.
about a
Pause
week before this
for
movie
the
comes
for
to
the
the
past
theaters.
few
And there's
weeks.
a lot of things
It's
to
crazy.
talk about regarding this. One, the fact that the Greeks are mad as hell, because not only is there no Greek people in this movie, which again would have been nice to do an ancient Greek historical epic. And obviously, we know it's a story, but it's an ancient Greek epic. And for you not to cast a single Greek person in it seems a little strange. But at least if they're Greek passing,
I've changed my format where I
and
just
totally
watch YouTube while I'm
because
waiting for like questions and stuff. That fills the
when you got
fills the gap,
when you got
so I don't have to just keep rambling
Ellen
on.
Page pretending to be a male warrior. What the fuck are we doing? Right? And they're not even going to do a PR tour in Greece, probably because the backlash is so bad. You have Christopher Nolan talking about one of the things he may come to regret from this movie, which is one of the things that stood out initially from the first trailer. Chris Nolan explains why he went for contemporary dialogue in the Odyssey, but admits the decision might bite me on the ass. Yeah, it might. When you got not only the American accent, which I thought was an interesting choice for a historical piece like this, because we're so used to hearing this kind of faux British accent, which isn't really a British accent, but just kind of seems like old in that time. Not only you got American accents, and you got several British actors doing American accents, but the use of daddy in the trailer, all that stuff which they've doubled down on, yeah, it might come back to bite you in the ass. But maybe more than anything else, the women of the Odyssey are making this thing significantly worse because they're verifying what a lot of us felt about this, what a lot of the warning signs were pointing to, that it had been modernized, that maybe, in fact, they'd used Emily Wilson's translation from 2017, Emily Wilson, woke feminist, who went out of her way to make sure that the women had more attention, that she changed the language in Homer's Greek epic, that has stood the test of time for thousands and thousands of years, because they wanted to make something more compatible with modern day. Now, it's just been speculation.
Oh yeah, the ceasefire.
Here or there from Christopher Nolan that he
Ours as
use
well if it
this
looks
as
like
an
the situation in the
inspiration.
Gulf is a hot
But
zone
certainly,
again.
the more these women
Yeah.
speak,
Oh
the
well.
more likely it seems to be. Women of the Odyssey
I'm not
continue to talk
mad
about
at getting
Homer's
Iran
epic,
bombed.
from
They should have
not
been
enough
bombed
women
long fucking
to
time ago.
vilification of women, and certainly Lupita Nyong'o, who plays Black Helen of
The
Troy,
Bush
started
administration
off
wanted to
with
do
this
it, but
gem.
they thought they were already stretched too thin, which they were in Afghanistan, Iraq, and
With them.
all other little proxy conflicts that were going on.
And then do you lean forward and look at him like that?
This is a dumb bitch.
Wow,
How you got a
fucking
master's in the fine
fascinating.
arts and you
That wasn't
talking
the
about
only
you're gonna
thing
hold
she
this
said. She
hypothetical
also said
conversation with
this
Homer
how
about
they
why is there not
changed
enough
the
women?
story of the Odyssey
Shut
from
the
what Homer
fuck
wrote
up.
thousands of years ago, which again has stood the test of time for millennia, to now this.
When you read the Iliad and the Odyssey, very little time is spent in the perspective of the women. Right.
It was
It's
written
from a very
2,000
masculine
years
side of
ago.
Even though for a story that was written that long ago, there's actually a lot of women that
And it's actually, and yeah, it's a lot of women. There's actually a lot of female characters in
things.
it.
This film
A lot of female characters.
takes time to read.
She obviously never read the Iliad or the Odyssey.
And so we see in Helen.
Iliad was literally started because of a woman.
And they respond to it very differently because their experience of it is very different. And so for me, that was very enriching to take the time to
You got a master's in fine arts, and I'll guarantee she never read either one of those.
This time
We had to read them.
It's so good.
We had to read them,
Nolan's done such a great job subverting
in high school.
story and enriching it for a modern retelling. And that wasn't the only one. We've also got Samantha Morton, who's playing Circe, addresses the vilification of women throughout history and how this film is working to change that. When I wake up in lost place,
Yeah, I'm not going to see that. That movie is going to be trash. Still going to do really well because it's a Christopher Nolan film. I'm not going to see it. I'm not spending my money on that. Just like I didn't go see Tenet because Tenet looked like it didn't make any sense.
Arby's cheesesteak.
Set up auto ship deliveries in the PetSmart app. And for instant gratification, we also have Store, where in-store pickup always does the trick. This guy gets it. Shop online or in-store. PetSmart, anything for pets.
Graduate with a degree that fits your life and your budget. Whether you measure affordability by price or
University of the People is an online nonprofit, tuition-free accredited university. So
in history, women have been vilified, whether you're a midwife, whether you're, herbalist, whether you're a healer.
Yeah, women can make a bad situation worse. Stupid people can make a bad situation worse, period. Like, generally.
And I think that was my take on it. But also, Chris's interpretation of the original text and then, kind of condensing it.
That's why you just shouldn't listen to actors and actresses. They're stupid.
And I just worked from the text. It was all there for me.
They're stupid people who try to be political. People in Washington are
who's vilifying midwives?
Smart people who try to be celebrities.
Are you just talking about having your fucking period? Is that what you're talking? Are you talking about witch shit? Are you talking about witch shit? I don't even fucking know. But
Well,
thank God that
I said
you're
that
playing
incorrectly.
a witch
Celebrities
who fucking
are
imprisons people, but thank
pretty
God
people
they
who
show
try to
that
be
you shouldn't
political.
vilify. I can't wait to
Stupid,
watch
pretty
this
people
in
who try to be
Christopher
political.
Nolan's fucking movie.
People in
but
Washington
ultimately, the real question is
are
what's going to happen, right? What's going to happen at the box
are
office? And I think
sometimes
that
smart
despite
political
all of this
people who try to be
backlash, it's a very
celebrities.
interesting question. I could see, because I have such a poor way to judge how the general audience is going to receive this. With all these changes, will it still?
It's
be
not
like
just the
a
women, it's just the
relatively-
whole movie
probably
doesn't
based
make
on
sense.
Nolan's track record.
Like,
Will it be appealing to
Christopher
people?
Nolan's
Are
known
people
for like
gonna
making
see
grounded
all the changes
movies,
they're making
but he's trying to make a
reject
grounded
it? Are they gonna have
version
enough
of the
balance between all the
Odyssey,
changes they're making?
which is a mythical
Those are the
tale,
things I don't have the
but
answer
is
to. Right now,
grounded
it is set for
in an
only
actual
$100
geographical
million
and
opening
historical
weekend
period
at the
of
box office.
ancient
I've
Greece,
seen
of
some places that
classical
expect
Greece,
a little bit higher, 100 to
and
120
he
million.
wants to make it
Now,
grounded
for me,
by he
when I
made
heard
an
that Chris
actual
Nolan
like
doing the Odyssey,
ancient
with the
Greek
cast,
ship
I thought this was an easy billion-dollar movie.
for
But
Odysseus
moving
and
to a
his
lot of the
crew.
other stuff, and I have had questions
He's
about
using
what Chris Nolan would do. Would he take a more
music
grounded
that
approach to
sounds
the
like it could come
mythological
from
beasts
like
and
classical
creatures
Greece.
and things like that?
So that's supposed to make
I
the
thought
movie
it's a
seem more
100%
grounded.
billion-dollar movie.
But there's not one
This isn't $250 million
actor
budget. I'm sure the marketing budget
casted
is
in the
massive.
movie
My
who's actually
guess
Greek.
is the break-even point
He
is
race
somewhere in the
swaps
$700
characters for no
$750
reason.
million range. They won thousands
Helen of
of
Troy is
$750
not a
million
black woman, even though she was well known to
And
be
if
a
it starts
white
for 80
blonde woman
100 million, that
in
would
the
be
Iliad
potentially
and
on
the
pace
Odyssey.
for something like that. If you look at Chris Nolan's track
And
record.
now,
back and
and
look at Oppenheimer.
her sister is now her
Oppenheimer
twin.
almost hit $1 billion
It doesn't make
box
sense to
office,
say
which
this
for
is the
a while
face
was
that launched
believed.
1,000 ships,
That was due,
and she has
however,
a
to
twin,
heavy
which means she's not
international
unique
box office.
anymore.
Now, international box office
That
usually
doesn't
don't
make
take
sense.
too well to weird race swapping things in general.
You
So,
use a
will that still
transgender
play
man
with
to
this? Who
play
knows? But the opening
a
weekend for
Greek
that movie was
soldier.
82 million. So we are still in that range.
They're using
around
modern
Oppenheimer.
modern
My
day
guess is
American
the Odyssey opens higher
English
than Oppenheimer. That's
in
my
a
guess right
classical
now. But
era
remember,
type
I
movie.
see so many people saying this thing's gonna flop, it's gonna be pathetic, it's gonna be that, like all this stuff. And
He takes an interpretation of the Odyssey, written by a feminist author, as inspiration for his movie. The movie doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. Oh, and then Travis Scott is now like the bard because he thinks that hip hop would be the music, because it's the music of today, that in a retelling of this period, a rapper would be the bard. Like, it's fucking dumb. It's not just about the women. It's just the whole everything he's doing with the movie just sounds com, completely asinine. So I'm not. So this is not me women bashing. I just don't like Lupita Nyong'o. I don't think she's remotely pretty. And I don't care if people say, "Oh, you just saying it because she's a black woman." Blah blah blah. You're just a sellout. You're self-hating. Blah blah blah. I'm sorry. Objectively. She's not ugly, but objectively, she is not that beautiful. I'm sorry. Like, even if I was still into black women, she would not be my cup of tea. She wouldn't. She's she's a 5. She is average at best. And I'm sorry, a dark skinned woman playing a Helen of Troy, just it when it comes to movies or fictional, any sort of work of fiction, there's supposed to be a suspension of disbelief. But when things go so far astray from a certain fictional story, it is hard to suspend disbelief. And it's probably it's a matter probably of psychology, just how far people can suspend disbelief when it comes to certain fictional narratives. But for a lot of people, they're not going to be able to suspend disbelief on a tale that was written 2,000 years ago about ancient Greece, about ancient Greek characters being played by people who aren't ancient Greek characters. Not even, not are they, not only are they not ancient, not only are they not portrayed by Greek people to play Greek characters, they're not even played by people in the Middle East who would at least look Greek. So it's like, so anyway,
due, however, to a heavy international box office. Now, international box offices usually don't take too well to weird race swapping things in general. So, will that still play with this? Who knows? But the opening weekend for that movie was 82 million. So we are still in that range of around what Oppenheimer opened to. My guess is the Odyssey opens higher than Oppenheimer. That's my guess right now. But remember, and
Oppenheimer was a good movie. That was really good.
It's going to flop. It's going to be pathetic. It's going to be bad. Like all this stuff. And I hesitate to make a prediction like that because I know I can acknowledge that the algorithm that I live in and how much attention I pay to entertainment. Of course, I'm seeing this stuff. Of course, I'm seeing these stories. Has this story broken free of our area, our space here on YouTube? It absolutely has. A lot of political talking heads talking about this, and a lot of people predicting this to be a massive failure. And I don't know if they're going to be eating their words for that. I 1000% believe that the comments, the casting, the backlash, it will hurt the box office. Will it be enough to make it fail? I don't know. And I also, for a lot of people that are looking at the second second weekend. I also think it should be noted that we do have a track record for Chris Nolan movies. Take Oppenheimer, for instance, having very good holds in the second weekend. And one of the reasons for that is because the amount of people who want to watch this on IMAX. Chris Nolan fanboys, IMAX, it's a massive fucking deal. Don't be surprised if you see a lot of IMAX, even if a lot of regular showings aren't sold out, a lot of people waiting to see it for the second weekend on IMAX or a premium screen that they couldn't see the first weekend that helps bump that second weekend. I don't fucking know. I don't have a good prediction.
That's going to do great this
I
first
would
weekend.
guess
The second
the
weekend,
$800, $900 million
we'll
range.
see.
If that happens, it would be considered a disappointment. It absolutely would be considered a disappointment for this movie. Not a failure and not a flaw.
I'm not mad at Matt
but
Damon
not
playing
really what they
Odysseus.
expected. That's my best guess right now. With
Then they're mad
somebody
that it's a
who was
male-driven
fucking
story.
Ellen
The
Page
whole
out
thing
there
is
on
called
the
The
red
Odyssey
carpet, and
off
the Odyssey movie
Odysseus.
Twitter account has the comments locked like the pussies they are. All of this stuff just continues to generate negativity. And yes, the critics, they love it. Predictably, they love this movie. I can't say that I'm fucking surprised. But are we really supposed to buy Black Helen of Troy? Are we really supposed to buy that this woman who is pretending to be a man, Ellen Page, now known as Elliot Page, this woman cosplaying as a man, walking out? Are we supposed to believe that?
And
this
Ellen
person
Page
is a
was
Greek
cute
warrior?
when she was before she transitioned. Now she just looks like a creepy tiny little man.
Like, for real? Look, I'll say this right now. If Ellen
Thank you,
Page
Real
was
Dandy 888 for the
right,
GIF,
and look
for
the
the super
way
GIF.
that she does, was 5'0" no one in their
Appreciate
right mind
that.
would cast her, even if it was a man. No one in the right mind would cast this mythical man as a fucking warrior in this movie. Nevertheless, Ellen Page, now known as Elliot Page, has been cast in this movie. It's a
Elliot.
fucking joke. Like, that's why this shit is ratio. Black Helen of Troy and fucking
Yeah, and the trailer got ratioed to hell.
I don't know what
And people
that
saying
is
it
gonna be
was
at the box
bots.
office, but I
Nah, I'm
know
sorry,
this.
that wasn't
The
bots.
backlash
That was
is
just people
slowing
actually
down.
just
The more
saying,
people
man,
talk
fuck
about it,
this
the more
movie.
people see it, the less likely some of those people will be, even if Chris Nolan's their favorite director, to go see this at the box office.
To buy or not to buy? That is their question. And nobody knows shoppers better than Shopify, the undisputed. Congress struck another shady backroom deal. This time, they want to bring over 3,000 Chinese driverless vehicles to America.
And another thing, if I was a studio head, I would put a gag order on the actors of an upcoming film so they don't tank this shit. Stop letting Rachel Zegler, Lupita Nyong'o, uh, and all these other actors go out. They're supposed to go out and like stump and basically promote the movie, and then they say stupid shit that fucking agitates half the country. Like, just give them. I, as a studio head, I'll be like, look, we're gonna give them out these talking points, and aside from these talking points, they need to shut the fuck up. Like, don't say anything outside of these talking points we give you. That's all I gotta do. As a studio head, that's what I would do. I'd be like, if you want to be in our movies, you're gonna sign a contract that you are not gonna be just talking recklessly when we're promoting a film. Like, if we have you in the contract for our studio, to be in X amount of movies, when you're promoting said movies, you will stick to these talking points, and that's it. You will not stray. When reporters come up to you and try to get you with these gotcha moments about how gay is your character, or what do you think about the women, blah blah blah. They are to not answer these questions that people from Variety and the Hollywood Reporter and these other little gay ass liberal media wants wants to do. That's what I would do. I'm like, no, they're not. I'm not gonna let some retarded, self-important actor tank a multi-million-dollar movie with their own thoughts and feelings. Like, no, you don't know. You're paid to do make believe. That's it. Shut up.
It's only been a few weeks since Supergirl hit the theaters, and just like so many people expected, it has been a massive bomb. However, the level to which it's bombing, that's something that surprised a lot of people, including the biggest naysayers of this movie. The people who looked at this movie and laughed and said, there's no way this will be successful. Even some of us didn't predict that this thing would only hit maybe $130 million globally by the time it's all said and done. Nevertheless, here we are. After the first weekend abomination, after the second weekend had one of the biggest drops in the history of comic book movies, period, bar none. At a 77% drop, Supergirl is officially dead. And it looks like it's going to lose north of $200 million for the studio. Because let's face it, they invested at least $290 million into this movie, so nearly $300 million. If this thing even got to $150 million at the box office, they'd only be looking at getting $75 million from the theaters. Right? That's how this works. I know a lot of people don't want to talk about that or don't want to think about that when judging whether a movie succeeded or failed. But yeah, the studio only gets about half of the money from the box office.
Yep.
A little over half from United States domestic theaters, a little less than half from everywhere else around the world. So yes, this movie is set to lose $200 billion. And very quickly,
they're gonna pivot to
after all
digital.
of the promotion for
They're gonna
Supergirl,
pivot to digital.
the idea that Superman was at the forefront of all the marketing for this movie when he's barely in the movie itself is so telling. And also is very telling about the hype for the future of the DC universe, which is almost non-existent. Nevertheless,
Right, there was more hype for the DCEU under Zack Snyder, and the DCEU film sucked.
Shifted to distracting tactics.
The DCEU film sucked. Man of Steel, I still can't stand that movie. How they made a gloomy version of Superman. But even still, there was more hype for those films than there was for these James Gunn ones.
DC Studios is actively developing a Mr. Terrific series with Alan Heinberg writing the pilot. What else did we get? DC Studios is prioritizing the Deathstroke and Bane movie. No director or cast attached yet. Casting's reportedly underway for Gorilla Grodd in the upcoming Jimmy Olsen series, including the Batman rumor as well. Tom Brittney rumored for Batman as Gunn's DCU Chaos grows. All of these announcements came out within days of Supergirl bombing. It's just a
Right.
flurry of random rumors and reports and things like this that are 1,000% sent out there from DC Studios to try to take conversation away, to try to direct conversation away from the reality.
Yep.
That the DCU,
It's
the
flopping.
second movie in the DCU just bombed.
They need a hit.
Than almost
Man
any
of
other
Tomorrow
movie
needs
in
Man of
history.
Tomorrow next year
By the
needs to
time it's
do
all
really
said and
well.
done, one of the only movies that will have outperformed probably is Madam Web. It's not going to make Morbius money. It's not even going to.
Damn, it's not gonna even make Morbius money. More.
It is an
Damn.
embarrassment for James
Oh
Gunn
shit.
and the DC universe. And
Morbius
right on
is
the
better
heels,
than
we got a
was
report that came out
sold
last
better than
weekend, or
Supergirl.
last week,
That's
I should
sad.
say. And this was when I was traveling, so I didn't have an
Morbius
opportunity
at
to
this
talk
point
about it.
is a
I'm gonna
fucking
talk about it
meme.
now because this is very, very important.
It's
A
Morbin
lot
time.
of us said that we thought James Gunn was the wrong person to be in charge of the studio because even though I do like some James Gunn movies, and I think that you can take his kind of a little bit different eclectic style and put that into an existing universe for something that feels different and you can be a fan of that. I thought he was the wrong dude to run the studio and make all the creative decisions because he does have like rather specific tastes, and when that's going to be everything
Yeah,
in the universe,
every
I think
move,
it's
every
fucking
superhero
problem.
he makes is just a
Well,
version of
apparently,
Guardians of the
there's already
Galaxy.
creative
You got the
clashes
predictable
involved.
needle
The
drops.
first person
You
who
got the
directed movie other
unlikable
than
heroes
him
that come
in his
together
universe.
to stop
James Gunn took control
to
of
stop the
Supergirl
villains.
after creative clash with director Craig Gillespie. And this was not some.
They're always led
random
by some
Twitter
misfit.
rumor, Reddit rumor. This is from the Hollywood Reporter, by the way. Behind the Supergirl bomb, competing cuts, creative differences, exclusive. So let's get into this a little bit. A new bombshell report from the Hollywood Reporter details the behind-the-scenes struggles of Supergirl, reveals that James Gunn's DC Studios took a much heavier hand with the film than previously known after creative differences emerged with director.
Yep, when people say, "Oh, James Gunn didn't direct this," y'all just say James Gunn.
Like,
He did
I
take
don't
over
know,
creative control of the
old
movie.
DC, the DCEU. Doesn't this sound like a familiar fucking story with
Yep.
Warner Brothers and DC executives?
Yep.
Man, oh man.
Yep.
The past repeats itself.
Yep.
According
Yep.
to
Yep.
THR,
Yep.
Supergirl suffered through a difficult post-production process that eventually led DC Studios to create its own competing cut of the movie, bringing in longtime Gunn collaborators, and ultimately chose the studio's version over Gillespie's. The report claims Gunn and Gillespie clashed, with one insider telling the outlet they were not creatively aligned, is the polite way of describing things. According to THR, Supergirl wrapped filming in May of 2025, but concerns reportedly started growing months later. As early as the fall of that year, so a year ago, the studio and Gillespie knew the movie wasn't working. After a December
crap.
test screening failed to deliver the results,
Now here comes the blame
the
game.
studio reportedly decided to take matters into its own hands and took charge of the post-production to make its own cut, which is certainly well within their rights. Now, let me be crystal clear. Based on everything we've heard about both these cuts, the Gillespie thing is about 10 minutes longer, includes a little bit more of the villain. Neither of them scored well. Neither of them tested well. Neither of these was ever going to be a successful movie. It just wasn't. And that starts at the premise. Adapting Woman of Tomorrow, but not really adapting Woman of Tomorrow, deciding to portray the character of Supergirl in this fashion. And this has
As an unlikable
really
person.
nothing to do with Millie
She's a
Alcott.
drunk.
She made some comments that really hurt
She's
the
a.
movie. There's no doubt about
She's
that.
an
But in terms
entitled
of her
drunk
performance, this has nothing
bimbo
really to do with that.
in the
It's
movie.
everything to do with the movie they were doing, period. I don't think whether you take Craig Gillespie's cut or James Gunn's interfering cut, I don't think either of these becomes a successful fucking movie because the premise was off from the start. Trying to do what they did with Supergirl was always a bad decision. Making a Supergirl movie and spending almost $200 million on it was always a bad decision. Making Supergirl the second movie in your DC universe was always a bad decision.
You took us.
Now we are where we are.
You took a
The
C
process
tier
included
superhero
bringing in writer
to be the
Jeremy
second
Slater,
superhero
described
film in
by
your
THR as a
catalog
favorite to his sister in
in your
post-production for
cinematic
reshoots
universe.
and things. Oh,
That was
isn't that
stupid.
interesting? This is the guy who was supposed to write the Authority movie. It got subsequently canceled. So that was so bad they had to cancel that shit, but you bring him in to help with this. By the way, the person who wrote Supergirl also wrote for the Batgirl movie, which got fucking canceled. The person who has no credits to her name, she did help on the back.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, the person who wrote Supergirl also wrote for the Batgirl.
The movie that was so bad they
Described
shelved
by
it.
THR as a Gunn favorite to his sister in post-production for reshoots and things. Oh, isn't that interesting? This is the guy who was supposed to write the Authority movie that got subsequently canceled. So that was so bad they had to cancel that shit, but you bring him in to help with this. By the way, the person who wrote Supergirl also wrote for the Batgirl movie, which got fucking canceled. The person who has no credits to her name, she did help on the Batgirl movie. But what a fucking shit show. While the exact nature of Slater's involvement remains unclear, THR reports that he helped write scenes for 9 days.
I think when Paramount
with the original Supergirl screenwriter
completes their
Anna
merger
Noguera,
with Warner
or
Brothers
Noguera,
Discovery
remained involved. One of the biggest problems
next year,
was reportedly the climax. With THR
if James Gunn's
play was the
next films
fight,
don't
was
do well,
reconfigured.
Clayface and
James
Man of
Gunn's
Tomorrow,
longtime editor
I think they're gonna
also
fire his
joined the
ass.
show. James Gunn has his hands on everything. So for people that said, "Oh, you know, it's a different director. This isn't."
And they could just
this is
keep
James
Peter
Gunn,"
Safran
they're all
as
gonna-
the CEO.
He has a very specific, eclectic, some would say, taste.
The sole
And he
CEO
likes
instead of
what he
him being
likes.
co
And the
CEO.
problem is, if you don't like what James Gunn likes, you're probably not going to like anything in this fucking universe. That can be a major problem. This man never should have been put in charge of this fucking studio. Ever, ever, ever. Right? And it does go on to list a bunch of stuff, differences they had, the differences between this cut and that cut. Like I said, it's about 11 minutes longer, includes a little bit more Kara time and more time with the villain, which could have helped because the villain was basically a nothing burger. But none of it could have saved this movie from financial disaster. But it does show you that even this early on, there are massive cracks, spider webs of cracks all across this universe. James Gunn needs to be gotten rid of. And it's not going to happen until he's done with Man of Tomorrow. And I've said that for a long time. Even before this bomb, I said it's not going to happen until after Man of Tomorrow. That's when James Gunn's officially going to leave the DC universe, whether of his own accord and some like PR. James Gunn, he gave us so many good years of the DCU and building this foundation, and now he wants to spend time doing better, whatever it is, or whether they just fucking fire his ass publicly. Whatever it is, there's no way you can have this man around that much longer. This thing is a complete and total failure in every sense of the word, and now we're seeing all.
I mean, he's been in control for
behind-the-scenes
5
drama
years.
that has taken
No,
place with
4.
one of the biggest bombs we've ever seen for superhero movies.
4 years. 4.5. Something like that.
Life's busy, right? Juggling everything can feel overwhelming. We understand.
All right, let's watch something funny. Let's watch some O'Shea Duke Jackson. This dude is too funny. O'Shea Duke Jackson is too funny. No, well, actually, I want to see something else first. Then I'll watch that. O'Shea is funny.
When you shot the Get Money video, how was that like?
I mean, you know, again, I was so green. Like, it's weird because that's another thing. Like, I was just talking about, you know, like in this day and age, everything with like social media and internet and people's perception or whatever. Like, it's really like you don't really have a win in anything. And I say that to say, like, I was just doom scrolling one day, and I came across this post, and it was just a random post on you know, somebody's page that was like, yeah, you know, big head Charlie Baltimore portraying Faith Evans in the Get Money video. And I've talked about this 9,000 times where, you know, I always tell people my story, which is I wasn't portraying her. In my mind, I wasn't portraying her. I just thought
she said that back in the 90s.
You know, Big was trying to get me to dye it back, but he wasn't telling me why to dye it back. He's just like, I don't think you should have blonde hair in the video. I'm not even thinking about the song lyrics or any of that because I'm young. I've never been in a video. I don't know like how people like. I'm not even thinking about any of that. I'm thinking about, oh, I'm about to be in a video and I have blonde hair. But I say all that to say, I comment on the post and I just say, no, that's not true. Like, I'm just bored. I never really ever do that, but I was just bored and I was like,
she
no,
got
it's not true. I
grays.
just
Yeah,
have
she's
to have
definitely
blonde hair at the
coloring
time.
that hair.
When I tell you, it was so many people going in like, oh,
You can always see at the edges right here because I got, you know, you can see my gray. I don't hide them, but I do sometimes dye my hair black.
Without somebody telling me,
But
you know, at this
as a
point,
guy, I don't
like,
mind having grays.
like all that social
But
media stuff, like
you can always see them at the
you don't have no
temples.
wins.
You can always see a little bit at the temple. Like it's
People
hard
are
to
gonna make their
get
own
all of that
narrative,
unless you get it
judgment.
professionally
At this
done.
point, it's just like
You can
why
always see a little
even
bit of gray at the
bother trying
temples.
to, you know what I mean, give a person the real version of any story because someone's always going to create.
Which I had
whatever
grays when I was in my
narrative they wanna create.
20s. So
Like, I mean, as far
What
as
do you do?
like the Get Money video, like you said, it was fun. I had a good time. I had never been in a video before, so you know, it was a new experience. I didn't realize like years later because it was no social media back then. But I didn't realize like years later people would be like, she's she's being Faith or whatever. I'm like, definitely not what I was doing, but it is what it
yeah,
is.
Biggie talked about that way back
Can't
when
get
the
away
video
from
came
it.
out back in the 90s. He said she wasn't making fun of Faith.
Where Big, he wanted you to portray Faith, but he didn't tell you.
No, he wasn't, because if that was the case, he wouldn't have kept telling me to dye my hair dark. he was like, dye your hair, back black or dark or whatever. And I'm like, no, it's too hard to get it blonde. And, I was just stuck on it. And
What's up?
if he would have just
Your
told
local
me
Michael
why,
Jackson fan.
then I probably would have did it. But I'm not thinking about any of that because I'm young and I'm green. And, I don't know. I've never been in anybody's video. I'm just excited to be in a video. I'm not thinking about anything else, not lyrics, not people's perception of it. I'm just not thinking about that. This is not what was on my mind. So
Was he open with you about how he was messing around with Little Kim and Faith?
I mean, Faith, obviously I knew about. He said they were separated, but Kim I didn't know about for a while. I didn't know about that for a good while.
And how did you find out, respectfully?
I'm trying to remember. I think we were on the road or something. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. I think we were on the road or something, and
Just letting you know, for folks, if your message is held for review, I'm not looking at it. I'm letting you know that right now. I stopped looking at the messages held for review. It's never been rewarding to do so. Well, that's not true. Every once in a while, something will be held for review that doesn't, that I find is fine. But for the most part, I don't need to look at them. I'm not. If it's held for review by someone that I already know and trust, then I'll open it up. Otherwise,
he's young. He's got, what I'm saying, access to everything. So of course he's not logically knowing how to deal with these type of situations. So it was just always chaotic when it came to, like, especially women. Like, again, I don't hold grudges about any of this stuff. It was just stuff that we did. We were kids, and it is, it is what it is. It's really not that deep.
Yeah, when you look at it now, it's like they were like in their early 20s.
The scientists and engineers that support the next mission to Mars.
We saw them as grown. Well, us Gen Xers, because we were kids too. We were teenagers watching this stuff unfold. So to us, it seemed like grown folk stuff. Now looking at it, that shit was so juvenile.
This is why fathers are important, because fathers groom and teach their sons the difference between a husband and a housewife, right?
Welcome to another episode of Ask a Brother podcast. I'm your host, Jeff St. James, and we're going to have a whole host of different people from different backgrounds coming in, because it really is about building a community of like-minded people that's just open to listening and hearing from other perspectives. The revolution is going to be because of us. All right, y'all had a guest on your platform, a recurring guest. Her name is Starring Amber. She's been in my chats. She's not my chat. She's been in my comments quite a bit. I've never met her a day in my life, and I think she hates me. But shout out to her.
Never got a beef with everybody that come on our show. Everybody that come on our show have a different story about how they're beefing with Amber. She came on the show because she was beefing with me.
Yes. And seeing her clapbacks, listen, you two with y'all clapbacks, it is. I want more of that. She is in the best way I could say, she's a very interesting person, right? So when she reacted to me when it came to my comments about Megan Stallion, and listen, I'm gonna play a clip, and then I want y'all. And the reason, listen, all I'm saying is I think that as a symbol, I think there's problems when she's seen as a symbol for what our women and girls should be resonating with and trying to idolize. And I want to know where you two stand. But before we do, I want to play the clip that I will never get out of my head. Hold on.
I mean, she's ghetto. Look at her. She's ghetto.
I got some questions.
She's not
now.
Objectively, she's
I
not
don't know
that
that
pretty.
Amber maybe
She's
has,
really not. And she
now,
is ghetto. I mean, she has a
followers, I
fucking
guess, would think there's
she
anything
has a
wrong with what we
she has a
just
fucking
saw.
criminal record.
What did y'all think about this whole
Which
situation?
normally I
with
don't
her,
care, but
Clay,
a
her putting
woman
out
with
to
a
the
criminal
public,
record,
and
that's a
just
hu-
the
like
avalanche of
a
black
guy
women,
might.
especially who are
I,
kind of
I'm
defending her
going.
no matter what she
If a guy
does
has a
or
criminal
what she
record,
says.
depending on what it
Let's
is, who
see our closing
cares?
remarks.
Like he made a mistake,
Okay,
whatever.
so when it comes
But a
to,
woman
I
with a
wanna,
criminal
I think
record,
this is like a two-part thing for me.
that's
So
that's
first,
that's
I
a
want
no
to
go for me,
address
son.
like these, like, because Megan Thee
Because of course
Stallion,
she's
her
ghetto.
whole thing is like she's
And
like
people were just
educated,
mad
she's
because
like
they
in
thought Clay was
college,
gonna be
she's
another
studying,
Russell
and
Wilson, and
graduating.
he's not.
So
They
it's
thought
this
he was gonna be on
idea
some light
of
skin
the
shit,
first they
but
tried
he's
to
on the
make it
city
look
boy
like the
shit.
only degenerate women are these low-class women. But if you really look at like the Jasmine Crockett's and Kamala Harris and like I said, Megan Thee Stallion, these women are educated women and they're very degenerate. And they think because they're educated, because they have degrees, because they make money, that they can act however they want and men should accept it. And they just don't understand that like those are not the standards of men. Those are the standards of the government or society that put those standards on you, but those are not the standards of men, which is why like it just goes right back into like feminism and how they have they have completely tricked women when it comes to like how they're thinking about a lot of these issues, you know. So with the Clay
She
thing
was acting
now,
like she ain't there.
the simple fact is men don't like whores.
She was.
Okay, I don't know if I can say that on here, but men do not like whores. Okay, they will entertain you, they will sleep with you, they will might even make you a girlfriend. But what I tell you, they won't make you a wife. They will not make you a wife. You will get discarded, and it's because of your behavior. It's because of how you carry yourself. And men actually care about how other people think about their spouse. Believe it or not, they do. Okay, they don't want to have some girl that everybody think is a hook on their arms. It just don't work like that. And women want to think how they think things should be rather than how they are.
What about you, Lala?
Yeah, I think the issue with Megan Thee Stallion is that, and we said this in one of our posts, but the issue with Megan Thee Stallion is that she has this image on, like, her professional image is of, she talks about, she raps about tricking men, turning tricks, like being a pimp, pimping out women. She talks about prostitution culture, but then she's simultaneously trying to have a relationship with Clay, who's a stand-up guy who comes from a normal household with like a normal upbringing, and she's trying to also have her cake and eat it too. She wants to scissor Cardi B on stage. She wants to have her entire ass out all the time. She wants to dress like be completely butt naked, crawling out of the mouth of a snake, and wants to be uncouth, unbridled, and be this loud, barbacious woman and this feminist woman. But then on the same time, she wants people to take her seriously as someone cooking Thanksgiving dinner, as some like housewife. All of a sudden Clay can turn into a housewife and everybody know that can't happen. And so I think my problem with Megan Thee Stallion is, why doesn't she just like curate her person or her image and her brand more towards
Someone said Meg Food messed up Clay's 3-point shot. LOL.
maybe a mother down the road. She's getting old. I think she's like
that's
getting
messed
into
up.
her. She's creeping up on
They said her
30.
food messed
She's
up
gonna
his
want to
3-point
settle
shot.
down. And the fact that she is still, getting into her 30s, she's becoming an older woman, and she's still not figuring out.
She also lied on Tory Lanez. That's why I don't fucking like her. Because I
I
believed her at first when that whole thing came out.
Seriously, and instead of going through that,
Because I thought he was just some little loser hip hop artist. First of all, I like a lot of his music. Two, she lied and man, fuck that bitch. Big horse looking ass bitch.
Her up in that boat and taking shot wherever she was and doing this whole I'm back outside thing. It was like, this was so predictable. Like we assumed this, like this whole idea she's gonna turn into a nun now. Yeah, okay. So I agree with y'all 100% that Louise Perry, she did I forget where the book is, but she did a critique of sexual liberation movement. And she was saying that what's happening right now, what we're seeing with these type of situations are women are conflating men's sexual short-term interests versus long-term sexual interests, and they're conflating those as one and the same. And I'm like, we know what short time, not a long time. Like we know have fun for the night. Like, you know, only when I'm on vacation. There, I think what it is there are men, and Carmen may be right about this. There are some men that have lowered their standards, where there are some
certainly have.
examples where women have married out after acting this way and behaving this way. Kanye's the worst example imaginable, but basically what we're saying is there's a small percentage of men that's created the illusion that this is something that other women can now follow. It's the fact that Clay was even in the relationship with her is what gave a lot of these ladies hope. If all men didn't move like that, then I think that maybe more and more women wouldn't see this as a viable option. But when you got guys that's willing to bail ladies out and ignore a lot of this stuff until they don't, when these ladies are in a relationship, a lot of young girls and women are like, see, there's a payoff. I've heard women, I think I've even heard some of you ladies maybe say, like, we see what guys like, we see what they comment on, we see who they follow on social media. The problem, again, is a lot of that is short-term sexual instant gratification. That's not every woman that I like, every woman that I find sexually attractive, I'm going to want to bring around my mom, around my kids, or around my church. And for whatever reason, I don't know why they're complaining that, but it's sad to see. So I want to ask y'all a much more serious question.
Can I just respond to that?
Yeah.
I want to say something too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you go first.
No, go
Okay, I'll go. What I wanted to say is, you said, like, well, you know, what men respond to online, like liking of, like, you know, women that are more explicitly or like dressed in bikinis or whatever. Yeah. They're more provocative online, that men like that. I think this is why fathers are important, because fathers groom and teach their sons the difference between a housewife, right? He teaches their sons the difference between a woman, what a woman that respects herself looks like, and what a woman that doesn't respect herself looks like, and how that's going to apply when you pick the mother of your children. But when men don't have fathers that are active in their life, like Kanye, they start to, in my opinion, they start to conflate what femininity actually is and what a true good woman actually is. Maybe they don't know exactly what that looks like. And from my experience, it seems like sometimes when men are raised by a single mother, they have kind of like this tunnel vision where they can't think objectively about their single mother and like the decisions she might have made to become a single mother, or the way in which like her behavior was towards her father, to why her father didn't, or why their father didn't marry their single mother. And sometimes it's almost too hard to really go into, because now it's emotional. Now you're talking about my mama. So it's almost like a wall, a firewall that's shut off in their own psyche, that they won't really break through that to analyze what's really going on in that.
People shouldn't look to celebrities for normal
when they're picking
behavior.
a mate, and when they're picking out the woman that's going to be like their partner.
They live in their own little bubble.
How they get like sexual.
The Tide boosted test. Clothes smell like work?
Stinks.
Tide is boosted. The other stuff can't match Tide's boosted clean. Test passed.
Smells like clean.
It's cleaner, whiter, brighter, and fresher. It's got to be Tide.
Boosted.
Boosted.
When your teeth are sensitive, even biting into a popsicle can hurt. Try new Sensodyne Clinical
Facts.
Repair.
Facts.
What tomorrow needs is people who don't give up, who see promise in the future. WGU can help you earn the bachelor's or master's
Your
degree
teeth are sensitive because they're porous. They need.
President feta cheese. So fresh.
Yeah.
So
Sexual arousal and how they get like that satisfaction from women. It's very conflated when you don't have a healthy relationship with your mother and a healthy relationship with your father, who can groom you and kind of teach you some of those things. So I would respond to that by saying, I think the men that marry like these like Kim Kardashians, for example, are going through kind of like what I was explaining, where they haven't really had a proper development or understanding about what true femininity is, just like the women that might be their counterparts may not have had a good example of what femininity means or what it means to really be protected by a father type figure. You know what I'm saying? So they choose wrong.
Yeah. And what about to say, Carmen?
I was gonna say, and then on part of the women not knowing the difference between like men that'll treat them like a whole versus wife them, I think just on the men's part, I think I'm starting to see a lot of men that are falling victim to like their sexual appetite, right? Where they are letting this like looseness within how they deal with their penis. They're allowed. This is why the Epstein files exist, right? Because men are becoming like sexual deviants, even with the red pill movement, right? I like the red pill movement. I think a lot of things about the red pill movement is like feminism, but much like feminism, what you're seeing happen with the red pill movement is turning into this like polygamous like movement where now men are talking about having multiple women. So now the men are kind of going their way. You know, so like on both parts, this is why the foundation of the family is important, because even when you did like a hoe, you wouldn't be publicly seen anywhere near her. You wouldn't publicly like a photo. That's something you do in the dark while you're under your sheets, you know, where nobody is watching. And that's where men are going wrong, because they're coming outside with these pores. Other women are seeing it and they're like, oh, so men like now. Maybe I should be a whore too.
I remember that in like the late 2010s when the music was like, I'm in love with a stripper. Remember when that song dropped? I remember that because I was like in college and I was, you know, out and, you know, going out and partying and stuff like in college. And I remember when that song was playing, I was like, it registered in my brain. Like, it's almost like the industry had programmed men to be so overly sexualized with the music. And, you know, whether it's, you know, does art imitate life or does life imitate art? It's almost like also the music that was strategically marketed to Black America, Black people, but really mass appeal in, you know, the nation, in the world in general. But it has a certain destructive nature to it. And it's almost like, why is the industry pushing out this media and this material, this stimuli, to curate a culture that is overly sexualized and that is encouraging men to be sexual deviants? And then you see the leaders of that movement come out, like Diddy, like R. Kelly. Like, these are people that were raised with single moms and are unable to have any type of like refrain from any type of like sexual deviance. You know what I mean? Like they lack that ability to regulate themselves in that way, which is telling when men are raised, in my opinion, by single mothers. Like, a lot of guys that I know that are raised by single mothers also have this aspect of they're addicted to women. They're addicted to more provocative women that, you know, are more sexual, or that are more seductive. In comparison to men that grow from my experience, men that grow up in nuclear families that may still be attracted to those women, but they're not going to be seen in public with them.
Yeah, that was always, especially historically, like y'all said, it was always a standard of kind of knowing where she fits behind the scenes. That wasn't someone you were kind of carrying around. Now in today's world, especially with the manosphere and guys, you know, putting out all this advice and feedback and recommendations and whatnot. I think the differentiating factor for guys that still choose to engage in the Meg Thee Stallions and Cardi B's of the world, most of them are just now deciding between if they're going to marry her or not, and if they're going to give her a kid or not. The sex is just a given. And I think that the guys who are kind of wisening up, they're either drawing the line at, well, I'm not going to do is marry her, or most guys, or some guys are starting to be like, you know, I got to be a little bit smarter because, you know, I could throw my life away. This could come back to haunt me. Shannon Sharp's going through this. A lot of guys have gone through this when they're picking from a pool of women who's already selling the box. You got to assume at some point you're going to get one that wants more than just the money you offer her. So I think that, you know, those examples in which y'all are talking about, I'm starting to see a trend of guys starting to acknowledge and even publicly outing and saying, like, listen, man, this is our daughters, the women in the culture, the dating pool is changing because we are feeding into this. OnlyFans wouldn't be this big if men wasn't paying for it. So I totally am, you know, in agreement with you. And the worst part is, like, when you've been a guy that's been on both sides of the aisle, you can see how hard it is to get this to change. And what I mean by that is the average guy, if it's available, he'll take it. If she's attractive, if she's clean, he'll take it. And it takes a while, and usually it's age, maturity, and even upbringing that's are major factors for why guys will either not go into that or grow out of it. And I realize now the reason why, at least when ladies are like, well, guys are sleeping with all these women and they're putting up these crazy body counts, that's because that's the floor. That's the new baseline where it's like I don't, I can get you pregnant before I may even get you to even want to marry me. So that's the new standard. So, I do think that collectively, as more and more women start to wake up and realize the bar actually can raise if women just want to raise it. Yeah, but if it's as simple as what you doing text, I mean, then that's what the guys that get away with it are going to use. If it's just a couple likes, if it's a steakhouse dinner and that's it. I mean, there's going to be a percentage of men that's always going to take you up on that offer. So I do think, and again, this isn't as simple as one lady can change this. This is you having your standard doesn't mean anything if the 99 women behind you don't have any. So I think that there's definitely room for both sides to definitely change with this. But I appreciate what y'all have had to say up until this point.
Meaning he disagrees with them. That was a nice way to disagree with them, though.
The University of the People, who I'm partnering with for this video, rethought a way to approach education to make it more accessible for people and to...
We're turning up the temperature on savings. Shop Raymore and Flanagan today to save big on our
I've
hottest
seen
picks.
Dennis do a reaction video to O'Shea Duke Jackson, so I'm going to watch this. It's going to be enjoyable. Because they both like to roast people, so this should be interesting.
This is not 1986, okay? This is not 1996 when we were walking around with Africa Unite, Fight the Power. There's been a lot of growth that has happened amongst Black Americans over the past several years. And part of that growth is accepting the reality that a lot of these African and Caribbean folk, but Caribbeans share the same history, but specifically the Africans have been, we're not the same
Senor
people.
Squeaky
And no
says, hey,
matter
on
what
how
you
was your
say,
fourth?
you're just not.
It was fine. I didn't do too much. I did what I stated I was going to do. I was just going to binge watch the Captain America trilogy and had some food. It was too hot to cook out, so
She is really putting him in place about using the N-word. I want you all to listen very
that
carefully.
was pretty much it.
The Foundation of Black Americans don't recognize that we're different people. Listen to what this lady has to say.
Then, man, see, this is the shit that you gotta go through. Unbelievable. Man. Tell him.
I want you to understand, you got this African from the continent who's sitting there insisting on calling an FBA man a hungry N-word. And you got a sister saying, that's not something that needs to be coming out of your mouth because you don't have the shared experience that we do.
Exactly.
We may, unfortunately, still use that word as a term of endearment, but we don't want Africans or anybody else using it. So for all the white people listening to this broadcast, you listen to a lot of hip-hop, especially that East Coast hip-hop, because I knew it was popular. But you have to understand, a lot of those East Coast rappers, they were either from the Caribbean or they had a lot of Caribbean or African influence. They were not foundational Black Americans. They weren't Black Americans. That is not a term that we use as a term of endearment. It only became popular because of that hip-hop culture.
That's
It's
not true.
disrespectful.
Come on,
If you
respectfully.
call certain people
Black
an N-word,
FBA
in a
have
certain
been calling each
generation,
other niggas since
they will treat it as what it is.
man, since at least the early
An insult.
1900s.
It would be no different than, calling a Jewish person a slang name or an Irish person a slang name or a racial epithet or a Italian person a racial epithet. They do not take kindly to that. And then you guys know, you watch enough old school mafia movies to know what I'm talking about. But for this African person from the African continent to refer to this Black American man,
But yeah,
as an N-word is
respectfully, I
disrespectful. And
disagree
this is
with
part of the
Dennis.
reason why we've
FBA black
Let's
folk have
continue
been
listening.
using the N bomb to refer to each other since at least the early 1900s.
I appreciate you. Good sport. So yeah, we just be fucking with people. We do comedy too, so that's the main thing. Yeah, I know. Yeah. We both, we got the glass.
He's trying to mitigate. Yeah, we friends, but it's inappropriate. It shouldn't have been used. I like the way she did that. I tell people all the time, but I don't operate like that. And the other thing you have to understand is that, not all Black
At the
people
same time,
that
you
come
should
to
not
this
be
country,
automatically triggered by the
we
word.
don't
It is
treat them
not.
all the same.
It's
Some of
it's
them
not a magical word that should automatically trigger
leave us alone.
a
One thing
fit
you
of
will notice
rage
is that most of them, when they show up, they don't move to places like Utah.
unless
They
you
move
let
to
it.
Atlanta, they move to Houston, they move to DC, they move to Dallas, where there already other Black people are, so that they don't have to try to build America like we did. Check this out.
We're turning up the temperature on savings. Shop Raymore and Flanagan today to save big on our hottest picks.
My ninja, my ninja. My ninja, my ninja.
When you need to pull over.
My ninja, my ninja.
After a day of pulling over, there's a window. Where there's a window, there's a way.
My ninja, my ninja.
You can't just settle
My
one place
ninja,
at
my
once
ninja.
anymore.
My ninja.
You got to. Country, you have little room for error. Look at the year of return. What are the Black Americans, the Caribbeans, the Black British, what are they calling us to do when we come there? Exactly. And do what else? And build and train and to do what? Let me give you the Ugandan perspective. What's the favorite saying of Ugandans? What are you adding on us? Isn't that what Ugandans say?
Yeah.
What if the South Africans add?
For you all who don't know, this gentleman's name is O'Shea Duke Jackson. He's a very popular YouTuber in the Black sector of YouTube. And he lives in Africa, various countries in Africa. And he has this program called the Kinganda channel. It's very informative. I actually saw this clip. I think it was on Instagram or I'm not sure, TikTok. But he goes into some great detail about the contrast between how Black Americans are treated when we are in Africa and how Africans or their expectations when they come to the United States.
Ask the question, what's the question? What are you adding on us? And if you're going to say, listen, okay, we failed the system, you're right, but what are you adding on us? Because when they look at me as a Black American in Uganda, even though Uganda's not South Africa, what do they ask?
What are you adding on us?
That's all they ask. So our situation is what it is, but you're foreign here, so what? Now, if you don't add anything on what is there, it is very difficult to say, well, you're looking at the wrong person, because I don't see the wrong person. What I see is you, and I may not be educated to see that, but I see you, and I see that you're not adding anything on me. So now I see that because you're next to me. You're in here, bro, where I live. See, me and TJ don't live. We don't interfere in African business. But if you set up a shop in my business and I see you,
Yeah. When Black Americans go to other countries, we mind our business. We don't get involved in their politics. We don't get involved in whatever they have going on. We keep our head down, mind our business. We're there for the food and the sand and the beach and the chill environment. We're not there to change things. When Africans come to this country, and Caribbeans also, they want to get all involved in our politics and run for office, et cetera, just really get off into our business.
Pretend to be the first Black president.
Understand the culture of the country, how things work, and that presents a problem.
my neighborhood. So you're here with me. Why are you not in Santon? Why are you not in, what's the other neighborhood there? Midland. You're here with me, but you're not adding anything on me. And then you're telling me I should be focused on somebody else. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear that one African shit. What the f are you doing here? That's how I feel about you. And again, both things can be true at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm saying at the same time is,
yeah, so O'Shea, let him have it. You know, it's like you come to the United States, you get off in our business. We come over there, you're not bringing anything to us, but what you want to do is you want to tell us how things should be run in our country, and you're just not equipped to do that because you don't understand the culture, and you don't understand what the forces are the political forces you're dealing with, and so you're just making a bunch of missteps. But let's continue with, and you guys know this. This guy's name is Byron Donald. This gentleman, I think one of his parents is from Panama, the other one is from I don't know what other Caribbean country, but he's running for governor of Florida. And I want you to listen to what he has to say about reparations. And the first thing you should ask is, why is it any of this guy's business? But let's listen.
My mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit.
Good.
Reparations for
If they're not FBA, they shouldn't get it.
There you go.
If you're not foundational Black American, you shouldn't be. No, you don't get reparations. You're not part. You're not one of us.
So
sorry.
Here you got a Caribbean first-generation immigrant who's in this country, walks amongst foundational Black Americans.
I love Caribbeans, love African folks, love Afro Latinos. But when it comes to our political interests, those are separate.
And this is why a lot of Black Americans
We are our own group with our own political and cultural
this
interests.
is why we're delineating. And we're getting
Exactly.
to the point
This is
now,
why we're delineating.
It's not just about whether you're Black or not. We want to know, what is your lineage?
No one wants to hear
In other
Jamaican
words,
Panamanian
you have
talking
any skin
about
in the game.
Black people shouldn't get reparations.
Okay? Who are you?
Because you don't get it. Fuck you.
Check this out.
You're not part
This
of
has
us.
been going on for a while.
Reparations, you call it ignorant?
No, because you don't.
What makes you think you have a right to my birthright? Why are you even talking to me about it?
so why do you feel like I can't talk to you about it?
Because you really have no claim to it. So if you're not contributing to the conversation and you're not helping and you're down at me, you should really shut up.
Because I'm African, I don't have a claim to it.
Yes.
What do you mean you don't? It's called American Descendants of Slaves, my G.
I was born in Texas.
My G, is called American Descendants of Slaves. Your
So-
parents are not American descendants of slaves.
Hello?
Your parents are from Africa, correct?
Yes.
That means you have they didn't pick no cotton here. They wasn't brought over here in fucking slavery. They just got over here in the last generation. What the fuck are you talking about? You just gonna turn this into whatever the fuck you want to? Why are you trying to disrespect
So allow me
my
to respond.
birthright?
So allow me to respond. That the people you're talking about, a large part of them were African.
Okay.
And they had children who are descendants of those Africans.
Yeah, 400 years ago.
The Nigerian's argument is that, well, their children
It's called
were kidnapped.
it's called
And so because of that, the parents who
ethnogenesis,
lost
my
their
G.
children, or their children were captured and sold, they should be compensated for losing their ancestors. Their
Foundational Black
descendants
Americans
from
or
their folks.
American
Where-
descendants
where-
of slavery
Okay, so
are their own
you're
group
telling
of Black
me
people because of
that the people
because of
who descended from the
ethnogenesis,
people
which
who were
created a
actually
completely
sold
different lineage of
sold
Black people.
aren't entitled
As a matter of
to
fact,
reparations?
we were known as Black
You
people
stayed
before
on?
the others were known as Black.
I'm
Anyway,
just saying,
whatever.
I want you to think, but you see the mess this creates. You got all these Africans over here and all these Caribbean folk over here.
This is why we need to delineate.
They're gonna jump in and say, "Well, I'm oppressed too. My parents have been here since 1997, and we had to experience racism. We got a ticket in Alabama one day, driving through I-20, and so we should be able to read. And the cop was
Man.
racist to us. He called us
Yeah.
blacks. Right? That's
My
not the
ninja,
historical
my ninja.
oppression that Black Americans have had to deal
My
with. That's
ninja,
not
my
redlining.
ninja.
That's not Jim Crow. On top of that, they didn't fight in any wars. They
Word.
didn't go through World War II,
Word.
World War I. They didn't
Word.
fight in the War of 1812.
Word.
They didn't fight in the Civil War. They didn't have.
Do you know
deal with,
Black
Jim Crow.
people in America
They didn't
have
have
fought
the GI Bill. Not
since the
none of that.
have
So it's
fought
different.
in
Different lineage,
in
different
almost
people.
every
But
colonial
that's their
skirmish in
rationale.
America,
Okay.
except maybe
And it's
two of them.
offensive to foundational generation of Black Americans to have to entertain
because
these
they
things.
didn't. They obviously didn't want slaves
You
fighting
know,
in
you
two of those
understand the word
skirmishes.
America?
But in almost every
Slavery
conflict,
here
in every colonial conflict, in every colonial war in America, we have fought, including the very first one in modern day New Mexico.
Yeah, but it's offensive. And
Back in the 1500s.
Black Americans recognize it as nothing more than what it is. It's just a straight up scam. You see what I mean? And we don't like that. It's a scam. Can we all just admit that it's a scam? They feel like well, Black America, they want everything. Somebody type Destiny Swap. It's like they want a Destiny Swap. And look, I know you got I know you have Black African friends. I know you have.
Yeah, I got
know
Black
you do.
African friends,
I'm saying,
Caribbean friends,
but it's not
Afro-Latino
about the
friends.
individual, it's about the collective group.
Ain't no harm in laundering.
Delineation doesn't
There's a
mean
bounty of fresh produce delivered daily for the taking.
delineation doesn't mean you no longer like these people. It just means, you know, we're stating we're not the same folks. Anywho, I'm gonna end this here. It's about 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, and I'm gonna go grab something to eat before I wind down for the evening because I get up early. So I try to get to bed by 9, and I've been doing that pretty faithfully for the last few days. But because of the heat, it usually still takes me a while. But till then, guys, talk to you later. Hopefully, or some of you might watch this on replay, which is cool with me. I need more water too. The AC is still working now, but the heat rises to the top of the house, so it's still hotter here on the second floor than it is on the first floor, or obviously the basement, where it feels nice. So the kids fucked up the basement, so the basement used to be my chill spot, like literally my chill spot. But the kids fucked that up, and their mom with all that junk. So no one chills down there. That was where the big TV was. Sit down there, watch Game of Thrones or Walking Dead or MCU movies or whatever. Hopefully, we get all that trash out of there and go chill in the basement again. So I'm out. Peace.